Hello,
Okay. Sure.
hello everyone. Welcome to Award Submission 101. It's so great to see you here today. I hope you're enjoying the lunch. And to everyone joining us online, thank you for joining us. So, without further ado, we know the application writing is probably very daunting for most, if not all of us. And so, this workshop will just help you demystify the process so you feel a bit more confident and comfortable with when you hit the submit button. So we couldn't do this without our friends at RBC. So thank you very much for giving us the space and helping these business owners with the awards journey. And without further ado, I will pass it on to Michael with RBC and he will get the process started.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'd just like to welcome you all here today. And I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to join us for the Halifax Business Awards application workshop. And congratulations to all of us who are 2023 nominees. I'm Mike, as Neha introduced me. I'm the manager of business markets at RBC here in Halifax. And RBC is a longtime supporter of business owners and is a sponsor of the Halifax Business Awards program. And we're delighted to be involved again and to host you all here today for this afternoon's session. Now, before we jump into the agenda, I want to commend you all on the importance of your contribution that you as business owners play in both our city, our community, and our province. And small businesses are the heart of our local economy. And it's through your hard work, your resilience the last couple of years, and your dedication is what keeps us moving forward. And despite all the challenges we've been facing over these really weird times. Small businesses are very important. So I want to thank you all for your hard work, your passion, your dedication, and what you do for your communities and your local economy. Serving businesses has always been and continues to be a priority for us at the Royal Bank. And we're privileged to connect and support and celebrate businesses from coast to coast. And we're certainly honored to be the trusted banking partner for thousands of business owners and businesses across Canada. And we're also honored to have served as a longtime partner of the Halifax Chamber and the Halifax Business Awards. I brought a couple colleagues with me today. RBC Business Account Managers Steve Carruthers and Josh Darling are here, and they've joined us. And if you have any questions throughout today's session about the long list of tools, services, and other resources that we have to help your businesses grow, please don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us. I'd also like to introduce our partners from the Chamber, of which this event could not be possible. And we've been working closely to bring with you this workshop. So I'd like to thank Sandra, Chris, Josh, and Neha. If some of you could give us a wave, I think some of you are here. Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. I also believe you've heard from Neha at the beginning, and she also would like to welcome you all here today. A couple housekeeping items before we get started. We've got an hour on the agenda. We'll make sure that we stick to the time and get you out here promptly. And we have three very distinguished guest speakers who I'll be introducing here shortly. We also want to let you know that washrooms are located outside to the right. And we do have some notepads and pens if anyone needs some. So please take as much and as many notes as you need. So let's get started. First, we should be discussing the applications and what it's like to write an award-winning application from the perspective of a previous award winner. Halifax Business Award recipients are well-deserving businesses that represent Halifax ideals of hard work and innovation. We're lucky to have one of those winners with us today. So I'd like to introduce Tiffany Young. Tiffany is the owner of the Natural Butter Bar and is the winner of the Small Business of the Year at the 2022 Halifax Business Awards. The Natural Butter Bar offers all natural products that help different skin and hair types look and feel at their best. Tiffany is also a graduate of St. Mary's University, and she started her company Butter Bar in 2020 and has since gone on to sell over 3,000 products across Canada and the United States. Looking to improve the accessibility of her products, Tiffany has since begun offering Braille labels upon request and has also made improvements to her website to accommodate the visually impaired. So please, let's give a warm round of applause for Tiffany as she shares her experiences at the Halifax Business Awards.
Thank you very much, Mike, for that nice introduction. How's everyone doing today? Hope we're doing well. Thank you very much to all the organizers for today's workshop and for inviting me here today. So, as Mike said, I was the recipient for the New Business Award this year. It was definitely an amazing experience, very surreal. Sometimes it's still kind of sinking in that I won, because I definitely went into the application process, of course, hopeful, as many of you will be and are. But I didn't want to focus too much on, am I going to win? Because I didn't want to be too disappointed if I didn't. So I have a few notes here that I just wanted to share of things that I think can be helpful when you are completing your application. And I know we're going to have time for question and answers. So if I don't cover anything that you want to ask specifically, don't hesitate to bring it up then. So applications can sometimes be a daunting process. I, however, think you should look at it as a time to pause and reflect on your business, because it's really good for you to explain, what your business is, what are you known for, what makes your business stand out. So think about things that you've accomplished. Nothing is too small, it's all of the small points and the small tasks that lead to big things. So really take the time to, look back over your journey and where you started and where you are and how you got there. Mention the culture of your business. How do you demonstrate diversity and inclusion? How do you demonstrate accessibility? If you do happen to have staff, what are some perks or benefits that you offer them that set you apart from other businesses? You can also think about things, how do you give back to your community? Do you have any outreach programs? Do you connect with other local businesses? Do you connect with any community centers, depending on what service or products you might provide? So, nothing is off limits for these applications. You want to give as much detail as possible, because the competition is very stiff. And so you want to do everything you can to set yourself apart. Also, this is not a time to be humble. So as they say in Jamaica, big up yourself. So what that means is, really talk about yourself in the best light. This is the time to brag about everything that you and your business are doing, everything that, as I said, that you've achieved, and the plans that you have for the future, because we all know that businesses are continually evolving. Where you started and where you are is probably drastically different, and then where you plan to go is going to be even different from where you are. So if you have a hard time doing that, I would suggest asking, the support system that you have. What are some things about my business that you love? What are some points that I should make sure I mention? Because sometimes it can be hard to, brag about yourself. And sometimes when you're working in the business, it can be hard to really take yourself out of it and see it from an outside perspective. You can also ask yourself certain questions, why did I start this business? What is my purpose? What motivates me to continue? Because being a business owner is not easy. It's very challenging and time consuming, especially if you are, have a family, if you have another job as well. So there has to be something about what you're doing that excites you and inspires you to keep going. Those kind of questions will help you to answer the questions that you'll find on the application. So as I said before, how do you impact the community? So sometimes this can be something as simple as, you hiring another local business. So for example, with my business, my photographer, my web developer, they're all local businesses. So that's a way that I give back to the business community. It's not always monetary. It's not always giving your product or your service for free. Sometimes it's putting money back into other businesses' pockets. That's going to help to build our economy and help all of the businesses within the Halifax economy grow, or Nova Scotia, I should say. You also want to mention things like, what are policies and practices and tangible things that you've put in place? again, for your work environment, for your culture. I don't know if the applications changed. When I did fill it out, there was a specific question on diversity and inclusion. So if that's still there, this would be a great area to focus on those types of practices that you have. So as Mike mentioned, something that I do is that I do offer Braille labels upon request for the visually impaired. So that is a way that I'm demonstrating being an inclusive company. Um, Also, things that you do for your personal growth. So, do you take any training? Have you had any certifications? There are, you can get training in diversity and inclusion. So, anything that you do like that that fits into those questions, don't hesitate to include that because it is important. We do, as much as we work on our business, we have to work on ourselves so that as we grow, our business will grow. When it comes to the references, I think this is very important. You want to choose very strong references. I would suggest having somebody who has seen your business go from, an idea into a reality, somebody who's been on the journey with you. This will really help give an idea of, your growth and the hard work that you've put into it, and it can shine a different light for the judges. A second option could be a customer or a client who's received, your products or your services, especially if they are a repeat customer. This kind of gives an angle from both ends, kind of like the back end of how you started and how you got to where you are, and then how the experience is when somebody deals and interacts with you. I know there are suggestions to, reach out to your MLA and your counselors. That is great, especially if you do have a relationship and a connection with them. I do, however, think that it's more important to have somebody who can give, a real example and real feedback on, the experience of dealing with you and your business, as opposed to just, somebody who has a fancy title. So if you do have a connection with your MLA and your counselor, by all means, go for it, but don't shy away from, that number one customer, or, your mom's best friend who has maybe helped you with the business from the beginning. Be genuine. That always shines through. So don't feel like you have to change, who you are for your application. Be true to yourself. There's a reason that you started your business and are offering the products and services that you do. So stand in that. Regardless of if there's 100 other people doing the same thing, there's something that you bring to the table that others do not. It's a unique experience that you can offer from your own perspective. So make sure to include that. And lastly, I would say, enjoy the process. Regardless of the outcome of the application, this is a time where it really forces you, as I said, to pause and reflect on everything that you've done. When I finished my application, I was really surprised at how much I had accomplished. I think I had been in business maybe 7 months at the time. And so at first I was like, who even nominated me? What have I done to be, in this position? But when I took the time to really think about every little thing that has happened over those 7 months, it was a lot. It was hard to fit it into those word limits sometimes. But you've done a lot, regardless of if you've been in business for 2 months or a year. So this is a great time to really pause, because many times we get caught up of working in the business instead of on the business. And then if you are selected to be a finalist, again, just enjoy the process. The chamber does a great job of making you feel very special. There's going to be lots of events to attend where you can network, and there's always great food and things like that. So just enjoy it. Take that time out. Sometimes it's hard to pause from what you're doing, but it's great to stop and celebrate your achievements. So that's everything that I have.
Thank you so much, Tiffany, for sharing your perspective. Now, if you've ever attended the annual awards gala in the past, you know how thrilling and exciting it can be. You know how thrilling and exciting the night can be. And the winners have a chance to take the stage in front of their peers and say a few words about their business, their journey, and their challenges and their successes. But before the awards comes the creation of an award-winning application. And it's worth noting that the application process is very thorough. However, I'd like to take this opportunity to highlight the value of completing the application itself. Not only in terms of the awards program, many applicants have told us that the composition of their application is extremely worthwhile from a business planning perspective. And in fact, many have repurposed their submission for other business activities. So not only is the award itself an investment in your business, but the application is as well. This brings us to the reason for today's event. We encourage nominees to participate in the awards program, and both RBC and the Chamber are here to support you along the way. We want to set you up for success, and we've invited some special guests for their insights on how to construct an award-winning application and business plan. So I'd now like to introduce to you all our keynote speaker, and that's Denny Yokic from Training First Consulting, and he's going to lead us on a discussion of the writing process and best practices. Denny has over 12 years of experience in sales management, finance, and consulting. He originally started as a sales consultant in the automotive industry, and he quickly moved into a finance role. After spending several more years as a sales manager, he quickly moved to the next career progression, which was in the real estate sector. He was presented with an opportunity to further his education in Germany, and he moved to Europe and became involved with staffing and logistics while working towards his degree. And upon returning back to Canada, he made the decision to follow his passion of sales and business coaching, and he's currently in a consulting role. And Denny specializes in fields of customer service, sales training, leadership and presentation skills, and effective communication. So let's give a warm round of applause for Denny and welcome Denny to the event.
Hello, everyone. We're good. Hi, everyone. It's a privilege for me to be here today to talk to you guys about submitting your award application. Basically, what I'm going to do is go through the criteria, give you some tips, some tricks as to put your best foot forward and write the best application that you can. Part of the presentation is going to be almost like a creative writing where you're going to use keywords, be able to convey a message that the judges are going to be able to capture, and it's going to put your best foot forward. First of all, why are we writing an awards application? It's a great way to get recognition for your brand. Whenever you're in association with something like the Chamber of Commerce, that gives credibility to your brand as well, because you're in association with an already recognized organization. Gives more attention to any products or services that you have. It will allow you for customers to be able to find you again because you are in association with the chamber. That gives confidence to potential customers. Business credibility, again, that kind of goes in what I was just saying. Morale boost for staff. Now, if you have staff, this is a great one because being nominated for an award and winning an award doesn't just reflect on you, it reflects on your entire organization, which gives your staff a boost because they're part of your organization as well, right? So that's going to give them a feeling of what they're doing for your company is important, and they're getting some recognition for that. And attracting new talent and investors. Again, being in association with the chamber, everybody knows about it. So that gives you some more credibility there as well. What criteria makes an award-winning entry? You want to largely focus on the outcomes of your business, meaning what do we do well? How can I prove that my service or my product is effective, is leading the marketplace? Again, award wins like applying for a job, your entry must stand out to the judges amongst all others. So it needs to be creative. This is where you're going to throw in your own personality into what you're writing. How did you get to the point that you're at now? Give some history of your company. Being award-winning is about going the extra mile. So when we're writing, everybody's going to write a great entry. Everybody's going to write about their history. What do you do, or what do you write that stands out from what everybody else is doing? Are you going that extra mile? You really want to wow the judges. Of course, there can only be one winner in many applications. So what is it that you're doing that stands out from the rest, from the crowd? The About Us section, or who are we, what do we do? What sets you apart from everybody else? what's brought you to the point that you're at today. Talk a lot about the history of your company. You want to have a reason for the judges in this case to want to learn more about your company. Make it exciting. Really put your passion into it. Explain why you started your business in the first place. Be simple in your delivery, but specific in your message. So that means to me, make it in a language where everybody can understand, but within that context, be specific as to what you do. Why do you do it? Where the passion for it started. Show personality. Company history. Part of what makes your company unique is the journey that you took to get there. Even if it's just a startup that's new, why did you want to get into the business that you're in? Where did you leave your previous industry to start something new? What made you change industries? What made you want to start your own business? Put any interesting details if possible, especially if they relate to your company culture. Company culture, of course, is specific to your company. This is, again, putting your best foot forward. What makes your company special? Talk about the products or services that you think deserve to win. Genuinely, it's the best products or the most innovative services that actually win the accolades. Many people believe your product or service is the best. It really must stand out head and shoulders above the others to be sure of winning. This is important because everybody does something in their company and they do it well, the best that you do. What is it that you do that's better than your competitors in your marketplace? Make sure that you're really hitting that home. Select the categories that align with your business goals because they will play to your strengths. Double check your eligibility for entering and always read the fine print before you begin. That one is where you're putting yourself in the best position to win the award, right? You might find a more suitable category than your first choice, or that your business is eligible to enter across multiple categories. So if you feel as though your business does cover multiple categories, don't be afraid to diversify a little bit. Start strong. Make it unexpected. By that, I mean, when everybody starts writing an application, they're going to go, I would say, a lot more factual based. Have something that pops off the page, something that people are going to remember you for. Create an elevator pitch, benefits driven for your submission, which explains what they are going to read about. Does everybody know what an elevator pitch is? Yes, no, sort of. Okay. So basically an elevator pitch is usually 30 seconds to a minute, and it's something that you talk about to capture the attention of your audience. Typically, it's not so much the history of your company or your organization. What you want to do is have something that stands out and talk about a product or service, but without giving too much information. You still want them to want more. It's basically the tip of the iceberg. Next step is to review the entry criteria. Be selective about which awards and categories you enter. We just talked about that a minute ago. You want to put yourself in the best position to win. Go for awards that you are confident that you are cut out for. Again, that sort of aligns with picking the category that you feel you most belong to. Always include third-party testimonials, and if you don't have any yet, go and talk to your clients and ask for them. This is a tip, because you speaking for yourself is one thing. When you have others saying the same thing that you are and being able to give you credibility, it's almost like backup. They're there to support you and what you're saying. That gives other people confidence. In this case, the judge gives them confidence that it's not just you saying it, it's your customers as well. Assume the judges don't know your business. It's easy to assume that judges know about your business, especially if you have spoken to them before. However, they can award marks if the content is not in the award form. Be clear and realistic. We all sometimes forget how much we use industry jargon. A phrase you think is in everyday use in your industry may be unfamiliar to a judge, as well as acronyms. So here you want to explain as if they have no idea what you're about. You don't want to assume that they know your industry. You don't want to assume that they already know your business. You want to write your application in a way that everybody can understand. Make sure you spell out any benefits you have brought to your clients. Often judges may not connect the dots and see that a product line you have created will save a customer a lot of money by significantly reducing usage of water and time invested. This is specific to a company that uses what's a dry polish for a vehicle. That's why you're seeing that example there rather than water usage. Make sure you make this connection for them. Again, you want to write in such a way that it's simple to understand, but your point that you're getting across is specific. Benefits versus features. Now, the reason that this is blank, you'll notice there's 9 rows here. I spent 7 years in the car business. When I first started in the car business, they did a lot of market research. And initially, they said you need to have 3 features and 3 benefits because people are cross-shopping. So if you mention 3 features, benefits, chances are the next salesperson isn't going to mention it. A few years later, that moved to 5 benefits and features. Now that sits at 9. And that's not specific to the car business. Of course, that's specific for any business or sales. What do we offer as our benefit? What's the feature? Prove your content. Lots of businesses make claims. The trick is being able to prove the benefit and to put it into context. I'm sure we've maybe seen a commercial on TV or you've seen on a website. We do this, but there's, better than anybody, or they pick a specific product that they say is the best in that category. It's important to remember that making claims are only good if you can back them up as well. Where possible, always provide additional information such as supporting documents. This is proof to back up your claims, adding credibility to your entry. Like I just spoke about, make sure that whatever it is that you do well, you have a way to be able to back that up also. This content can include statistical evidence such as sales figures and customers' testimonials. Customer testimonials for me are so important because when somebody's looking up your company, let's say if you're looking up somebody's your company on Google, one of the first things that's going to come up is how many reviews do you have and how many stars do you have? So if you're looking for, again, let's use the car industry as an example. If you're looking to buy at a dealership, the same brand at 2 separate dealerships, you're always going to go with the one where people have good things to say about their service, about their approach, about their financing, about any issues you might have with your vehicle over somebody else that after they make a sale, they don't seem to care as much about the clientele. Have your customers back you up. Again, this goes along with the testimonials. Your best way to get your business to be known or to grow is clients that you already have, people that are happy to do business with you. They will talk to a friend, a family member about your business. And that's the best form of advertising because it's almost like a soft open. It's somebody that they trust is sort of speaking on your behalf. Think about your language and evidence. Make your writing simple yet specific and include facts and figures for support. Avoid copy and paste text. It can be easily recognizable. Your tone should always be consistent and convincing. Dwell on the benefits gained rather than the process of achieving it. This is important because whatever we do well, again, this comes back to benefits and features. How are we benefiting our clients? How are we benefiting our community? Avoid being generic. Being specific allows your customers, your clientele to see more into your business. The more specific that you are, the better that they understand you, the less questions they're going to have about what you do. Proofread everything. Spelling and grammar mistakes can ruin an otherwise impressive entry. Pay close attention to the word count. Due to limited amount of time, consider using a word count for each answer. If you're offered the opportunity to send supplementary information, then do so, but only if there is something that truly supports the claims you make in the award entry. This is more about standing out from the others in your category. Respect the judge's time, of course. Submit no fewer than 200 words and definitely nothing over 300. This gives you a good basis of what your business does, how you started it, but it doesn't go too long where perhaps the judges could lose interest. And if you're not capturing them, then you don't have a chance of course, winning the award. Always answer every question. Awards are a bit like bids to an extent, as they tend to use a marking scheme. You need to make sure that your entry is in line with the marking criteria that has been provided. For every answer, use 3 to 4 keywords. If the judges ask for 3 examples, make sure that you give 3. Otherwise, you will lose marks. Again, that goes back to being as specific as you can about your business. Most judging processes use a marking scheme, and you need to align the content of your entry and make sure you understand the scheme that's being used. So when you're putting together your admission, that it's fitting all the criteria that the judges are asking for. Make the most of it. You're being given an opportunity, so make the most of it. Explain to the judges why you started your business and what you're most passionate about. We all started a business because we're passionate about either a service or a product, right? So really hone in on that and explain why you've started this. What makes you get up in the morning? Why do we do this? Why do you not work at, let's say, a regular 9-to-5 job when you wanted to be an entrepreneur? What gave you that sort of that passion, that fire? And most importantly, have fun with it. So make sure that you're not writing something that's just factual. You wanna, again, with that creative writing, you want to capture their attention. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Denny, for those great points. And next, I'd like to turn our attention to the best practices and tips and tricks from the perspective of someone from our judging committee. So each year, hundreds of applicants submit their application, and each one undergoes a very rigorous eligibility review by the Halifax Chamber, further which they are judged and scored by a diverse and respected panel of judges. The judging committee is comprised of 6 leaders from our business community and represents a spectrum of industries, and each year they invest countless hours of their own personal time to score and rank each nominee and determine who deserves to win each award category each year. So we're fortunate enough to have Craig Mcmullen here today, and he's been a member of the awards judging committee for several years. And Craig has over 27 years of experience in finance, business, technical operations, and business development. He began his career as an analytical chemist, but found that his true calling was working in the early stage and growth stage of companies in a variety of senior management and executive roles. And he's currently the president and CEO of the Center for Entrepreneurship, Education, and Development, known as SEED, as well as the associated charity for the Society of Enterprise Education and Development, also phonetically sounds like SEED as well. So Craig brings a diverse skill set, and with his experience as a senior financial executive in a variety of settings, including technical services, high-tech manufacturing, and not-for-profit. So I'd like to welcome you all, Craig, to the stage. Craig's going to share some insider tips and best practices for completing a standard application. And Craig, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Sure. So you are going to be the people that are going to bore me to death for a long period of time. I say that facetiously, but not really facetiously. So here's the thing that I want you to keep in mind. We have 6 people that are going to be reviewing these applications. We are all given a rubric scoring system that we're going to use. There are going to be hundreds of applications that are very long. And I want you to think of me and my 5 partners as your customer. Sell me on your business. Now, I can tell you how this starts off. It starts off with, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read 25 of these, and by 20th one, my eyes have glazed over and I have to go back and check my notes. And then I have to go back. I will not finish these in one sitting. None of us have. There have been years where some of the judges have not actually gotten all the applications. That just means they didn't get scored. It's not a penalty, because it just means the score is then distributed against or against the judges that have actually done the reading of all of them. So sometimes, and also understand that some judges will actually recuse themselves from the situation where they're looking at a business. So for instance, if there's anybody in the audience that has a seed business that has come through us, thank you for submitting, but I will not read your application because I know your business too well. Okay, so, and I don't want to be in a situation where I seem to be biased. So a couple of things that I want you to understand. We are your customer. This is your opportunity to sell. Sell to us why we should be making you a recognized business leader. Why is your business the exemplar of the Halifax business community? So understand what we're looking for. What we're looking for is we're looking for a business that we can say, this is amongst the best that we have. So look at the entire Halifax business community, most of which have not been nominated. Congratulations, you're nominated. Now, once you're amongst the nominees, you have to create basically an elevator pitch. Pitch to me why it is that I should be putting my vote behind you. Now, understand something about the way the process works. I mentioned earlier, we have a rubric. We will go through it. We will put a score on each one. What you will find with some of our judges is, and me included, is that we will bias low or we'll bias high, because the first one you read kind of tells you where you're going to end up, right? So that means when the scores come in, it's amongst the 6 judges. That means then we come to a meeting where the scores are actually going to be very close. There have been times where we're sitting there and we're actually looking at all these businesses, and what's separating one business from the other on a score of 100 is 1 point. What's separating first, second, and third might be 3 points. So the process that we then go through is a process of saying, okay, that's just the scoring. Now let's go through each one of these and say, where's the consensus amongst judges? What does that mean? That means you have to provide me or one of my judges enough ammunition that we can advocate for you. So you have to give me some things that allow me to say, you are that exemplar of the Halifax business community. So a couple of tips, a couple of best practices. One, thank you very much, Denny, for everything I said up there was awesome. So I'm just going to reiterate a couple of these points. The first point is Denny made the point about word count. Pay attention to it. It's important, but also pay attention to the one piece of advice I'm going to give you. Please do not try to baffle me with BS. I have too many of these to read. I'm really looking for the true benefit. I'm really looking for the thing that's truly impactful, or the series of things that's truly impactful. So what are we looking for? Well, depending upon the category, you're going to know what the judges are looking for. But really, at the end of the day, it boils down to a couple of things. We're looking for, what is the business? What kind of impact is it having in communities? What kind of business impact is it having from a business perspective in terms of what it's doing? But also, what kind of community impact is it having? What kind of social impact is it having? What kind of potential does it show? Is it somebody that we're going to be able to say later, that's the best we have, because that's what we're looking for. Of the people that were nominated, this is the best in the category. We want to get behind that. I already mentioned give me ammo, sell us on your business. And the one thing that if I was to give you a really good tip, the concept of where you're able to provide additional information besides just the questions. First of all, spend some time thinking about these questions. This is a sales pitch. Don't bore me. I got too many to read. Okay. So, but the other piece is when you're given the opportunity to give additional information, two pieces of additional information are important. One, if there is supplemental information you could provide that drills down on your point, including press clippings, including testimonials, and all of that stuff, please give it to us. It gives us that ammunition to get a really good sense of what your business is about. But the one thing that I'm going to pick on in terms of best practice is this issue of references. Okay, I'm going to give you a really sound piece of advice. Do not approach a politician. Don't. Because the first thing they're going to do is write something that's incredibly formulaic that says nothing. Or they're not ever going to submit it. The number of times that we receive an application because people will tell us that, oh, there's supposed to be a letter coming from this person, and it never arrives. Predominantly politicians. And if they have to, and if I see the same politician over and over again, I get into the situation where they've been approached too many times, and now they don't want to seem to be giving favorites, right? Which means they write things that are generic. So I don't know if you're better off with a generic piece of paper that doesn't say anything or an application that's incomplete. Either case, it doesn't play with the judges. And then we crap on the politician. But in any case, beyond that, customers or people who really know your business or can really attest to the impact that you're having are incredibly valuable. And the last piece of information, again, with the references is if you've asked somebody, follow up with them. People are busy, but in a lot of cases, when we come down to that issue of we've done the rubric and we're now advocating for one company over the other because there's only a 1 point difference between them. Often it's that other pieces of information, not the stuff that you actually put in your application. It's the other things. So it's what was said in a reference letter or what was said in terms of supplemental information that really gives us something to say, this business is really, in this case, deserves the award more than another one. So if I'm going to leave you with one last thought, the judges take this really seriously. We haven't had a fist fight yet, but we've had some spirited debate. So, and we don't mind the spirited debate. And in some cases, the rubric says one thing, but after we debate it through, then the decision goes in another direction because scoring is subjective, as is all of the arguments. But in order for us to make it as objective as it can be, you have to give us the ammunition. So the best way to give us the ammunition is, yes, please use some creative writing. There is an entertainment value here. There's over, I think last year it was almost 150 applications. And in some categories, it's 5, 6, 7. It's reasonably easy from a judge's perspective to keep that straight. Where's the best? But when you're into a category of 50 applications, it's very difficult for us to keep them straight from one area to the next. And so those applications that are well-written, concise, to the point, hit the points in the rubric, give us good supporting information. Those are the ones that play the best. And I guess the area where we see it the most is in the nonprofit sector because there's some really great nonprofits out there, but they can't afford professional writers. So sometimes they run into issues to really try to get their message across. And that's where we run into some problems because we know there's more there, but we can only go on what's on the application. So invest the time, give us everything that we need that we can advocate on behalf of your business. That's it for me.
Thank you, Craig. And Craig, don't go too far. Folks,
We're on the Q&A portion of today's event. We're doing great on time. So if anyone has any questions for our panelists, please let us know. I am looking at the technical folks. I will be handing the mic off. Thank you. So we have our first question over here.
I just had a question for you. Are the applications, like when you're looking at them, are they printed out or are they like digital on a computer? Okay.
Sure. We use a piece of software for the grading. So one, it prevents us from making stupid math errors. But all of the applications, when you submit them, come to us on basically a web portal. All the questions are sitting there with the rubric next to them. So we're able to read through and then read through a question, grade the question. So it does keep it very, very organized. But again, I'm older, as one can tell. So, I would rather have it printed out because I hate the idea of staring at a screen for hours and hours and hours, which means my eyes get tired. And so that's all the more important to answer the questions concisely and don't bore me to death.
I don't know if this is a question or if it's just an yes and to that. So I'm a national judge for where I judge competitions. Plus, in my corporate life, I was also on the recruiting team, the national recruiting team. And one of the things that, to your point, that if you're getting hundreds of either athletes on stage or applications, what I've always told either new recruits or athletes is that as a judge, I'll deselect before I select. So in other words, when we were on the recruiting team, we would be looking for keywords. And if those keywords weren't on, then they got either put to like another pile because there is only so much time. And also with athletes, we will deselect before we select. So give me a reason to look at you a nanosecond longer than somebody else. So I think to your point is what you're saying is that give me a reason to look at your application just a little bit longer. I was one of the finalists last year. I don't know what I did on mine. I'm going to have to go back and look at it. So I was very pleased. But I do know just based on being a judge, that's kind of how we've approached it. And I would imagine you guys might be doing the same thing. Is that true? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Abby from Solutions for Kids in Pain. And I was just wondering if you had any additional recommendations for nonprofits applying.
Yeah, for nonprofits, and I'm sensitive to the nonprofit space because I'm in it. The challenge with nonprofits is it's a very broad category. So the big challenge there, and I can't speak for the 5 other judges, but apart from what's on the rubric, the thing that I'm looking for is in whatever area that you're in, it's about impact. Show me the impact. Just giving me kind of the generic answers to the questions and doing the stick to the facts and all of that stuff doesn't work for a nonprofit. In the nonprofit space, to give you a sense, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, you had applications in the nonprofit space. I think there was about 60 of them, and they went from the small 1 to 2 person nonprofit to national charities. From the economic development space to social justice and environmental impact, very grassroots to very institutional. It's a very broad category. All of them, though, the thing that resonates is your ability to show the impact that it has in the Halifax community. Lean into that. And I think in the years where we've awarded it, very large charities did okay, but really the sentiment was more grassroots.
I think we have a question online. So I have a question online here that says, do solopreneurs with no staff stand a chance? I'm concerned that my business is too small to be considered at the time.
I'm feeling very popular all of a sudden. Solo entrepreneurs absolutely have a chance. That's why there's not a whole lot of, first of all, there's nothing in the rubric that talks about that there's points for how many employees you have. So there's not a bias towards that. Solo entrepreneurs have an opportunity to make an incredible impact. And again, it comes down to impact. So if you're a solo entrepreneur and you're really trying to impress, then really lean into what makes this business tick, what makes it special. And that advice is the same regardless if it's a solo entrepreneur or it's a 500-person organization. Remember what we're trying to accomplish here with the business awards. I kind of alluded to it earlier. There's a whole bunch of businesses that weren't nominated for one reason or another. The nominees are now kind of that they're in they're already one cut above and they're trying to be the person on top of the mountain. Tell us why you should be at the top of the mountain, why you're that business in Halifax, and why you are an example of what's so great about the Halifax business community. That doesn't matter whether it's a solo entrepreneur or it's a very small nonprofit. Show us what makes you great. You know, last year in one category, it was a one-person organization. They didn't win, but they got an awful lot of consideration and they were at active discussion. So yes, for a solo entrepreneur, small organization, totally possible.
I just was going to say that I am a solo entrepreneur, so it is possible. So don't feel like because you don't have staff or, you're not making a certain amount of revenue that you can't be the winner, because I'm proof that you can.
Any other questions from the audience? Any questions online? Yeah.
Okay. Can we further discuss meanings of benefits versus features? I think this is for Denny.
Are you mic'd up?
I am good. Okay. Okay, so sorry, what could you just repeat that? Features are what you offer. Benefits are what do you do that somebody in your marketplace doesn't do, or what do you do that's the best amongst your competition. A lot of the times what'll happen is that you might mention one or two, and then people won't understand what the competition, or maybe they do understand what the competition does. So being able to say or to illustrate feature benefit puts you a little bit above what either your competition is doing, or it sets you apart because other people aren't mentioning it.
Another way that you can think about it is what gap in the market do you fill? So, I'm a cosmetics company. There's lots and lots of cosmetics companies out there, but what did I notice in the market that was missing, and how does my products and service fill that need? So that's another way that you can, this is what you're offering, but this is how you're impacting and benefiting your customers in the community.
Thank you, Tiffany. Any other questions? No, we're all good. Okay, perfect. Well, I just wanted to say thank you to Craig, Denny, and Tiffany for participating today. We do have a token of appreciation for you all here in a second. I also want to say a special thanks to all of you for coming, and for those watching online, thank you for logging in. This does wrap up today's session. We really do hope that you found this one helpful, and this is the first time we've done this or this year,
and both this type of event for RBC and the Chamber, and we really would appreciate your feedback. So I believe there are some surveys on your table, and we take your feedback very seriously. A reminder, if you're going to leave here with anything aside from the pearls of wisdom that was from our judges, the application deadline is September 9th. Thank you, Sandra. So if you have any additional questions, please contact the Halifax Chamber. Abby Tucker, I believe, is the program manager who will be supporting you every step of the way. And we, from behalf of RBC, we're here to offer you advice, whether it's your business plans or any other advice or tools that you need. So I would like to invite you all to stay, network, share your stories, what your challenges are, what your successes are with each other. You may see each other again at the gala in January at the Halifax Convention Center. So I want to wish you all, on behalf of both the Chamber and RBC, for attending. We hope you found it very inspiring. All the best on your journey to becoming an award winner. Thank you.